This is Victory. Breaking news. According to BBC reports, Interpol has grabbed 83 sponsors of terrorism. Sponsors of terrorism through money laundering and financiers and other logistics have been arrested within 6 countries of Africa, including Nigeria. About 11 of them are from Nigeria. This is the report, of course, breaking the internet according to the BBC report. You know, these people are not spirits. They are known. Their operations, their modus operations and their activities, their terrorist network are well coordinated. People are aware. Recall there was a time the United Arab Emirates made publications of people sponsoring, financing the terror movement in African Sahara or sub-region. When you consider now, even in Madagascar and different parts of Africa, there is high movements, influx of terror cells, terror groups, including Africa, including Nigeria. Would you have imagined that over 22 terror groups have established their base? They have their safe haven in Nigeria. How could that be possible if there are no internal collaborators? Those heavyweights, both political elites and traditional rulers and religious clerics, may have given them the support, the safe haven to operate smoothly. Even those in the corridor of power, recall during Jonathan's time, Jonathan made it very clear in 2014 or 15 thereabout that even the Boko Haram members are part of his cabinet. You know what that means? For a sitting president, the Grand Commander of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria made a public assertion without mincing words. He said that the Boko Haram are part of his cabinet members, are in his cabinet members. That is the level of intel that is at his disposal. He knew that those power brokers, those within the corridor of power, those senators, those ministers, and the rest of them, they are in his government. They are commanders of Boko Haram. Jonathan said it. And he had not withdrawn his statements because he knew what he is saying. But unfortunately, the government of Buhari is sympathetic, has sympathy for the terrorists, has sympathy for Boko Haram. Because when Jonathan decided to clamp down on the activities of Boko Haram during Ihejirika as the chief of army staff, you saw what happened. Even Buhari then and other prominent northern politicians and clerics, they came up, they were shouting that Ihejirika is avenging what happened in 1967 and the rest of them. Buhari said an attack on Boko Haram is an attack on the northern people. So more or less, this should be considered that Boko Haram are the brainchild of the average northern political oligarchs. They knew the formation of Boko Haram and they gave them the safe haven to operate. Otherwise, how could Nigeria have 22 terror groups established in Nigeria, well-funded, and the recent allegation levied against the Sultan of Sokoto by the former mayor of Texas, in Texas, US, that the Sultan of Sokoto was once served in Al-Qaeda or served in Afghanistan or so, and have a link with the Al Qaeda group and the rest of them. Though it is yet unverified allegation, but if this happens to be true, then there must be some concerns. Now, who knows who these 11 terror groups in Nigeria were? Possibly they are yet to disclose their names, possibly for security reasons, to enable them carry out their investigations without any interruption, and eventually to make sure that they capture everybody involved. They said about 83 of them are on the watch list within the six African states, including Nigeria. Now, let's see, of course, a brief excerpt of the publication by the BBC Pigeon or Broken. Look at what he said. He said 11 Nigerians, they among the 83 people the International Criminal Police Organization known as Interpol grabbed for alleged terrorism financing through money laundering. Do you get it? I mean, did you get this development? That 11 Nigerians were among the 83 terrorism financing network that had been grabbed by the Interpol. Among the 83 of them. Do you get it? Now, inside one press statement, Interpol talks say them arrest 83 people across six African countries, and they don't identify 160 people where they link to the crime. They start the operation between July and September under the Operation Catalyst to identify and stop financial flows and schemes where they connected to terrorism funding and their support network. I hope you are following. You see, out of the 83 arrests, okay, 21 now for terrorism-related crimes, 28 now for financial fraud and money laundering, 16 they linked to cyber-enabled crimes, and the remaining 18 they related to the illegal use of firearms. Are you getting it? Are you seeing this development? Not that these people don't know what to do. If they really meant business to fight terrorism, if there is political will on the part of the government, they would have snapped this at the bud. But unfortunately, it has grown beyond what could be contained within the state because they have international support, robust network, and infrastructure that supply the logistic. And imagine it's been alleged that helicopter jets drop logistic ammunition to these terror groups. See how sophisticated and robust they have grown, using unmanned military vehicles, drones, to launch attack missiles against the military base and military barracks and the rest of them. So this is very interesting development. Now, for the past 2 months, Interpol, alongside authorities across participating countries, don't screen more than 15,000 people to uncover $260 million, okay, 36 billion naira, where they link to terrorism-related activities, and they don't seize $600,000 and 890 million naira in both flat and virtual currencies. Wow, that is quite. There are more to this, of course. We must understand that the government should show some level of commitment, sincerity, and openness in tackling this insecurity because it has been alleged that certain people, top government hierarchies, both serving and past, are linked to this act of terrorism and have benefited from that. So if the government must show some level of commitment and sincerity in combating with this, then there could be a way forward. Well, let's see how such we go. What about those certain communities, displacing communities and reoccupying them? What is the government doing? What hope or guarantee that the displaced indigenous communities who survive, who are still surviving, will be returned back to their respective abodes, back to their ancestral homes? How could that be possible if the assailants, those killers, have reoccupied and renamed the region and the rest of them, have taken over their land and the houses, the one they left that was not collapsed, they did not collapse? How is the possibility that the infrastructures, the schools and homes, the churches that was destroyed could be rebuilt and let these people be reintegrated back into the society where they belong? But unfortunately has been occupied by these assailants, supposed foreigners, invading Nigerian communities, taking over. Now, this is a very disturbing development, and we do hope, of course, that whatever happens, that justice will be served, and the sincerity and commitment on the part of this Interpol will be on trial. Of course, these have lingered so much that no proactive actions were taken, and things has degenerated to the point that much casualties have been recorded. As one of them, Mike Ammon said, he doesn't know why media, international media, turned their back against the oppressions of Boko Haram. And there have been more damage that have been done. Why did they turn their back against the oppressions of the Islamic jihadists in Nigeria? And today, the reports from the findings or claim of Ammon, Mike, that's over 22 of them are established in Nigeria, or one of the US senators. You know what that means? Because they have found Nigeria to be a safe haven. And across the forest beds, from the southern region to the northern region, has been occupied. You can imagine people fleeing from their homes, running over the alleged sporadic shootings, ambushed by the terrorists, whether you call them Fulani, they said it's Fulani and the rest of them. These are aliens coming to wage war against the indigenous communities, and the government, the political elites, we are living in denial. Today, majority of them are raising alarm. They are calling. Of course, of recent, you saw within the week what happened. That the legislators raised alarm over the plot by terrorists to bomb Abuja. I mean, the national complex, the Senate building. They are now raising alarm. The Kogi senator, the Kwara senator from Kwara West, Kogi West, KB South, and the rest of them were raising alarm over the killings, including security operatives losing their own life. I mean, Nigerian security operatives are no longer safe because these terror groups are well equipped. They have robust network. They have more firearms, more sophisticated firearms that could not match that of Nigerian military. On a certain occasion, one of the community leaders in Kwara alleged that even the military, the DSS, could not go into the forest to contend with them because they have lesser power, fire powers. You see them having machine gun, AK-49, 47. I mean, with high precision. So how could you combat with such people with pump actions and the rest of it, and then guns? But the reality is that Nigeria is under siege. Different communities, I mean, even the South, Edo, Delta, Bayelsa, they have been crying out. Although Ogun State very close to here. You can just trek and walk across the boundary of Ogun State, Lagos and Ogun State. People are fleeing, people are running, people are being ambushed. So it's a very serious, of course, security breach or security concern that every Nigerian must be aware. But sadly, majority of the political elite are living in denial of the reality. And this is compounding the problem. This is worsening the situation. And sadly, nobody could be considered safe. If the National Assembly, the senators and the rest of them are raising alarm, who did they want to send them? If the most region that should be considered the most protected region is no longer safe, they are in the state of panic, which other part of the country could be safe? Oh, that is basic common sense. Abuja should be one of the most protected and security conscious region. Now, if they are in the state of panic, which other part of the country is it? The many ravaged regions of this country that should be considered safe. If there is panic over the bomb scale or alleged plot to collapse the National Assembly complex, who else will be safe? The security operatives have been overstretched. They are also humans. Majority of them have been killed. Some amputated, suffering different degrees of amputation, deformation, and the rest of them. In fact, it's a very sorry sight and a very worrisome situation. Majority of those who survive have been demoralized, honestly. Whereas there are people benefiting from this insecurity, promoting this insecurity, operating within the same Nigerian territory and yet considered as untouchable. It's been reported that the current president, alleged to have said that if he fights insecurity, they will kill him. So everybody is afraid to fight insecurity. And insecurity is rounding up everyone, rounding up communities. Farmers can't go to work, not even of going to farm again. You can't move from your home to your place of work without being attacked. It's not an issue of going to farm again. Everybody is informed. Before they started with the farmers and the rest of them, you can't go to the bush. Now, ambush could be led between your office and your home. That is to say, you have to appreciate the level of the states of the nation and why drastic and proactive actions must be taken. The actions of Interpol could be considered a welcome one, but more proactive and robust investigations and operations must be carried out holistically without bias, and the perpetrators of this heinous crime must be brought to justice. Sadly, we have doubted the political willingness on the part of the president to address this. We thought by now the issue of insecurity and the rest of them would have been a thing of the past or almost been tamed or brought to bearable minimum. But unfortunately, it has expanded astronomically to the point that every region of this country is being touched. These are the exact words of Mazen Nandi. Mazen Nandi said all these things 10 years before they started happening. But today, he's been persecuted for speaking the truth, head behind DSS Dodger, while the entire Nigerian region country is being ravaged, including Abuja, is not safe. Now, where else could be considered safe? If you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Just take a seconds to do so. And whenever we upload a video, you could have access to them. Let's have your own take via the comment section and express what you think. Could this be a welcome development or a mere political jamboree intended to distract certain people? Do you have confidence in the administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu and to guarantee the level of commitment that will stir the tide of insurgency? Unfortunately, we are trapped in this mess. Let's have your own take. Thanks for watching.